Sweet, go.
Hello, we're going to talk about the road today and a few other things regarding shared ownership or shared possession. Okay, so there are a few areas in Western Admiralty jurisdictions that are considered to be public. Okay, so that's the public buildings and that the government own. They don't own because they're public. The areas that are designated public, parks and reserves, the foreshore and seabed, that's considered public, rivers and the road. And we have a real issue with these things because in the minds of the majority of people, because of the way that the police and the government have interacted with us, we have a false assumption that they are in control and they are owners of it. That's not true. Those designated public areas are actually owned by the people. Okay, and so what's happened with the road is a situation called adverse possession. So if you choose to investigate, what you'll find is that the government and the New Zealand police possess the road. They don't own it, they have adverse possession, which is a form of squatting. So what they're doing is they've just moved into the house and they've started charging entry fee for any foot traffic coming. So even though they don't own the house, they're standing at the door and they're collecting an entry fee. And because they've been doing that for so long, people have made the incorrect assumption that they're the owners of the house. Okay. While the New Zealand police and the government feel that they have ownership by adverse possession over the road, they'll continue to think and expand their view that they have ownership over everything. So really, that's the problem. We need to send the message to them that it's actually ours. We own it, and they don't have the right to generate revenue from it. They have the right, as trustees or as fiduciaries, to keep it safe. Okay. Now I don't have a problem with that. So it's still the same thing. I'm not telling you not to go down to the garage and get a warrant check, okay, because your vehicle needs to be safe. And I'm not telling you not to learn the road rules, because if you don't, then travelling and operating on the road is not safe. But what I'm saying is relicensing and all that sort of thing is actually unlawful. They don't have the right to collect those fees. We're paying for the maintenance of the road and our petrol. Road tax, and people pay road tax when they drive a diesel vehicle, and still they have to charge motor vehicle licensing and driver licensing and all those sorts of things on top of what they already take in tax. You must realise that it's not the way that they say it is. It doesn't cost that much to maintain it, and they don't own it. But because we let them do those things, they can consider themselves to act as if they're owners. Same with the impounding things, okay? Impounding's actually unlawful, okay? I don't have the right to come along and sell any property that you own, okay? I can't come along and say, I'm going to sell that chair. No, I'm going to put that chair in a warehouse, and then if you don't come back within 4 weeks and pay me $300 for that chair, I'm selling it. You think about that. That's what's actually happening with the police coming and impounding your vehicle. When they come and impound your vehicle, they actually don't have the right to do that because they don't own it. And they tell the impound yard to come and collect it, and they don't have the right to collect it. And then if you don't pay the money, the impound yard asks the police if they can have your car. And then the police go, yes, you can. And then they think that somebody who has nothing to do with the ownership of the vehicle, they think that person who has nothing to do with it can just tell them, yes, you can now have that.
Yeah, and the contract is between the tow company and the police. It's not even between...
Yeah, how come you owe the money? Yeah, it's actually twisted, it's actually unlawful, and there is no law that says that they can do that. It's not written in any act or anything, okay? But what it is that the government and the police will tell you that that's the regime that exists in other countries. And that's their excuse for doing it. So they're all just copying off each other, stealing people's stuff and saying it's okay because the other guy did it. Come on, people, you really, really have to wake up to this. This is the key to it. The key is ownership of public places.
And the roads, because the roads control, just like the ports control.
The road controls what connects to everything. Okay, so it's the same thing as when Britannia took over the ocean. What they realised is if they controlled the ocean, then they controlled the world because no one could go anywhere without passing through them. It's exactly the same with the road. The road is the ocean on the land. That's why all the street signs are blue. That's why it is Admiralty law, because it's the ocean on the land. And while they control that ocean on the land, you have to pass through them to get anywhere.
Are the street signs blue?
It's blue or green, of course they are, because they're waterways. They're waterways. The roads are waterways. It's an ocean. It's Admiralty law. That's how they get it to apply.
And so that's why we can just use the flag to travel.
Of course, and that's why it's a sea pass. If they're going to call the road the sea, then we better have the right to pass on the sea.
So what should we do? Like the police are just, how do we educate them?
It's bullying. What's happened is, okay, there's two things. We have two things. We have statutes, which are the legislated rule of a society given the force of law, and we have internal policy. Now what happens is the police and other government departments are actually not geniuses. They're actually
racketeers.
They're followers and racketeers, yeah. But what happens is they are not competent to read, understand and interpret statute. That's really for the legal personnel. So what happens is they get a bunch of legal personnel together
who are corrupt, and
they write policy, and the policy is what the police follow. The police follow their policies. They're policy enforcers. Policy enforcer. Right? So they enforce the policies within the police. The policies within the police are written to fit inside the statute, but they don't always do that. So it's the police policy, it's not law that they're following. So the police are following the policy, and the policy is for them to tell the impound yard to take your car. It doesn't mean it's lawful. It doesn't mean it's legal at all. It's just police policy. And that's the problem, is the policy doesn't always fit inside the law. But they're not willing to change it because that's the way that they've done it.
And that's the way they make the money.
They make millions of dollars for the impound yards.
1 point something billion, wasn't it, when we looked it up this year?
Oh, the police turned over
annual
1.2 billion.
Profit.
In profit. The police. Okay, now, it must be hard for many of you to understand how a public service makes a profit, because it's pretty damn hard for me to understand. Yeah.
And then corrections, 1 point something trillion.
A trillion
American
dollars.
though.
$1 trillion US, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's 1.2 billion US as well.
Yeah, Jesus.
So that's really 2.4 billion.
Or whatever the rate is, yeah.
Roughly, you know. So, yeah, that's the thing. The thing about it is they don't own the land. They've never owned it. They don't own the foreshore. They've never owned it. They can clearly see... this is why they invented the foreshore and seabed policy, or law, or statute, and the MACA Act statute, is because they've never had... but they've only ever had a bundle of rights that doesn't constitute full ownership, but that's only vested in the public, i.e., the government only has their rights because the public chose to give them to them. Exactly,
and that's why you shouldn't vote. People, when you vote, you give consent for them to keep doing this. The best way is to exit out of the government, not vote, and starve the New Zealand government of any rights.
Listen, people will tell you, and this is a common fallacy and misconception that goes around, people will tell you, that if you didn't vote, then it's your fault, your responsibility that a bad government exists in place. How can that be the truth? Think about it, people. Wouldn't it be more apt to say that it was the people that voted for them that caused them to be in there?
I know, we live in an opposite world
We
where...
live in opposite, totally, man. No, it's you people that didn't vote. You're responsible for that bad government being in there. Don't worry about the people that voted for them. They have nothing to do with it.
I know, New Zealand is really backward, eh?
Oh, we're socially inept. We're actually naive and...
Too nice, eh? Just getting
and
wronged.
that's fair enough, we should be nice. But the thing is that we can't be so nice that we get tricked all the time, and that's what's been happening. For 150 years, we've been being tricked by a group of unscrupulous commercial individuals that really just seek to exploit us as a profit-making mechanism. That's it, plain and simple.
We're the sheep of the... Oh.
It's not a government. It's not actually a government.
It's not a government, it's a corporation.
No, it's a corporation.
Lawfully, no corporation can rule over a country, so they're unlawful.
Profit corporation.
Yeah.
It's a corporation pretending to be a sovereign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think that was a pretty good video.
So come on, people. Don't let them have the road. It's ours.
Yeah.
Just start saying no. That's all we need you to do. We just need you to actually just
No,
say
I won't
no.
sign those bail papers.
No, I'm not happy with the status quo.
No, you can't search my car. No, you can't take
come
my
into
blood.
house. No, you can't have my genetic material. No, you can't take my kids. No, you can't have all my money. You know, come on. We can actually run this place. We can run this place just as good without them.
Yeah, heaps better. Heaps better with that. Thank you.